What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel, where today we're going to be speaking about digital versus physical games. And just right out the bat, if I could, I would just tell you, always go buy physical. It's just, there's so many benefits to physical, and I'm a collector, so my natural suggestion is to go buy physical. So, if that was your only question, you don't have to watch the rest of the video. Thanks for coming. However, I know it's not always that simple. So, to help me with this video, I have broken it up into three general categories. They are availability, convenience, and price. So, with those three categories in mind, let's hop into the first one and I'll start explaining. To help me with the first category, I'm going to be looking at Final Fantasy VIII. Now I know what you're thinking. Why are we looking at such an old game that was released on the PlayStation 1, and how is that supposed to be available to everyone? And that's just it. It isn't. Final Fantasy VIII was originally released on the PlayStation 1, so if you do want to go back and play the original version of it, you have to play it on a PlayStation 1. And we'll get into convenience and that later, but the general availability of Final Fantasy 1 on PlayStation 1 isn't obviously that high in a place like South Africa. You can obviously go look on eBay and secondhand stores like that, and you might find one, but there is an easier way. You just hop over onto the PlayStation Store and you get the digital version. And if you wanted to just play Final Fantasy VIII the original way-ish, you just do that. I mean, it's simple. You play like that. When we look at other things, there are different factors that go into availability, like certain games are only released on digital and certain games are only available physical now. So when we're looking at the digital-only games, things like Baldur's Gate 3 and Alan Wake 2 are only available digitally to most of us. I know Baldur's Gate 3 did get a physical release, but it's only through the Larian store and you can't get it to be delivered to South Africa. So for me, Baldur's Gate 3 is only available digitally, basically. But Alan Wake 2 is also only available digitally. I think there are some rumors about it becoming physical, which would be great because those are two games that I do really want to play. Mostly Baldur's Gate 3 I really want to play, but the fact that I can't get it physically has kind of put me off purchasing it and playing it at all, which is sad because it looks like a fantastic game. But what about on the other side of the court, where games are not available digitally? Now, Deadpool was originally available digitally, but because Activision's deal with Marvel ended, you can no longer purchase Deadpool digitally. Your only option if you want to play Deadpool is to get a physical copy secondhand somewhere, which means that the value of a game like this has increased. Other games, like Daxter, are locked to a single system. So this makes them very difficult to come across. If you're not willing to, well, if you don't want to play it on PSP, you can't play it anywhere else. Maybe PS Vita through the PlayStation Store, but in general, you can only play Daxter on PlayStation Portable. So if you want to play Daxter and complete your run through of all the Jak and Daxter games, you have to get a PSP just to play this game, which is a whole different set of problems. There are other games like Uncharted Golden Abyss, where it is locked on the PS Vita because of how the PS Vita systems are used. So if we ever wanted to experience that game on a big screen, a lot of adjustments would have to be made. Anyways, I'm digressing. So the next thing then is to move on to convenience. And within the convenience section, there are a few things that I really want to speak about. First of all, digital games are more convenient. There is no doubt about it, digital games are more convenient. Because say I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy and I'm 10 minutes in and I don't really feel like playing anymore. So I want to play Gran Turismo 7. I have to first take out the disc for Hogwarts Legacy and then put in the disc for Gran Turismo 7. Now I know that's not the biggest thing on the planet and it's not the hardest thing to do. But if you have the games digitally, like say I have Astro's Playroom and I want to play Astro's Playroom after I play Hogwarts Legacy, I don't have to go take out Hogwarts Legacy and put in Astro's Playroom. I can just launch Astro's Playroom. So the convenience factor is definitely a massive thing to consider. Digital games are far more convenient than physical games. Especially nowadays where both physical and digital games take up space on your hard drive, so you don't have to sort of like worry about which one's going to take up more space, because they take up the exact same amount of space. Each get installed onto your hard drive. And with inconvenience, there's a little sub thing that I want to talk about, and that is PlayStation Plus or Game Pass, or I don't know how to call them, like services where you can pay a yearly fee or a monthly fee and get access to a lot of games. Now, it would be remiss of me to not suggest this, because these services are great, and this is coming from a physical collector. I love PlayStation Plus because it gave me access to so many games that I just never thought that I would play, because first of all, you get priced out of games at some stages because you can only buy 1 or 2 games a month. But if you do PlayStation Plus, it sort of costs you the same as one game. So doing this really does help. I am so sorry if you can hear a leaf blower in the background. That is really annoying. Anyways, PlayStation Plus is great, especially if you're one of those people that often try a game and don't like it, and then you're stuck with the game, especially if you've bought it digitally. You can't then go sell it or return it. In most cases, I know on Steam you can. I think you got like 2 hours. If you don't enjoy the game, you can return it. Let's just move this closer, and hopefully that helps a little. But if you buy physical and you don't enjoy it, you can always sell it secondhand. So that is a benefit to physical copies, yet you're not going to get your same value back. But if you do PlayStation Plus or Game Pass, you can try out these games with less risk, because you're always going to find something that you like on there eventually, and that kind of makes up the cost of PlayStation Plus. I mean, 2022, I played so much PlayStation Plus. When it first launched, I played almost all the main PlayStation games. I played Miles Morales, Ghost of Tsushima, Returnal, and so much more that I can't even remember. And it helped me fill out my trophy list for one thing, and that's a completely different story. Trophies aren't affected by digital or physical, but I'm a trophy hunter, so trophies are always going to come up in my videos in some way or another. So what I'm trying to say is PlayStation Plus is really, really great, but you also don't get to touch your copies if you're like me and you want to put all your copies on a shelf and you want to keep them all nicely organized. But there is those convenience factors to think about. So for the most part, physical copies aren't as convenient as digital, which is to be expected. So let's move into the last bracket, which is price. Price is a bit touch and go. For the most part, when you buy new, so say Hogwarts Legacy has just come out, pre-ordered, is available, digital and physical, there's not too much of a difference. I often find that most of the time physical is actually a little bit cheaper, and that is because the PlayStation Store can charge whatever they want, because they're the only ones available digitally for PlayStation Store. I don't know if it's the same for Xbox. I don't think it's the same for PC, but for PC you're mostly doing digital anyways. I don't think physical releases are even a thing anymore. But I digress. The price there isn't too different. The big differences come when there are sales. So sale items for physical often go like 300 Rand down, whereas digital you can go all the way up to 70% down. So say your game costs 1,000 Rand, or let's just go with 1,000 Rand, and your physical copy goes on sale for 300 Rand less, that's 30% less. And say your your digital copy goes on sale for 70% off, that means that copy is 300 Rand. There are massive savings with digital sales because it's just that. I don't know why digital sales go so much cheaper, but they can, and it just proves that they are such big markups on video games, but that's a whole different story. With physical games, however, you do have the benefit of being able to buy a game second hand, like I did with Hogwarts Legacy and Deadpool. Now, as I said, Deadpool is no longer available digitally, and I don't even know if you can download it if you did purchase it again. So if you do know the answer to that, please let me know in the comments. But for a game that is now getting rarer and more exclusive and more difficult and more expensive to purchase, having that game physically means that you actually have an asset, something that you can always sell on if you ever choose to do so. So physical games hold value longer than digital games. And very importantly, you always own these. What I mean by that is I've been seeing a lot of news stories on digital service providers and digital games that aren't actually yours. So Ubisoft CEO came out at one point and said that the physical games may not actually be yours, so they can, in essence, scrap them and take them away whenever they want. So say you've just bought, what's the new Ubisoft game? Prince of Persia, the Lost Crown or whatever. Give me a second. Right, now that the leaf below is gone, I can carry on. What I was saying is, so say something like Prince of Persia, the Lost Crown or whatever it is, say you purchase that digitally. In Ubisoft CEO's mind, he can just take that. So just cutting in quickly, what the Ubisoft CEO was talking about was subscription services for games, not so much purchasing actual digital content and then losing it. But the majority of the argument still stands. Away, or you can just not own it eventually, because it's like rent to own, not owning it, like actually owning it, which is quite a scary thought, because I have quite a big digital library on my PlayStation 4, carrying over onto my PlayStation 5 obviously, that I don't want to just lose if the servers shut down. But that is the harsh reality, that if the servers do shut down, I have no way of re-downloading those things. So unless they're already on my system, I just better hope and pray that there's no crashes or no need to reinstall them or things like that. Now, another question I do have myself that I don't have the answer to, that I would love for someone to give me the answer to, is when I installed Deadpool, there was no updates. Now, I don't know if this is because there's no updates on the servers or if there was never any updates anyways. So what I'm trying to say is, I don't think updates become available once servers shut down as well. So say for instance with Hogwarts Legacy, there was a 36 gig update that I needed to actually just play the game. Never mind, so I couldn't just play it without the update. I had to have the update in order to play this game, which is really weird to me. I've never really experienced that. But if the servers do shut down, I don't have access to that update. Does that mean my physical copy then becomes useless? Which is a whole different bag of problems that I am worried for in the future. So I'm always going to be here trying to advocate for physical media. First of all, it looks amazing when you have a shelf full of physical media. It's just a collection thing. I'm that type of person that enjoys looking at those sort of things. But besides that, it's more the fact that you know and should have the comfort of mind that you own these copies. These are yours. No one can take them away from you unless obviously something tragic happens. But with digital media, you don't really have that security. We've already seen on PlayStation 3 the National Geographic thing where they tried to take away everyone's purchases. Obviously not to the great extent of something that would happen with the games, but that is warning signs that we are getting and proving that we should be trying to, for as long as possible, preserve physical media. And I think that's the best thing that I can say out of this whole thing. Purchase physical media when you can. I know sometimes it's not a possibility, sometimes the convenience factor is just there. Sometimes you want to play your old games on your new system or on a new TV, and the best way to do that is through a digital copy. And I'm not saying it's wrong, and I'm not saying that any way is right. But for the most part, if you can, if it is a possibility, try purchase physical copies, because for me at least, it just gives me that peace of mind and security that I do own something, and that if the server shut down, I do have some value left in my collection. Anyways, let me know in the comments if you prefer physical media or digital media. Either one is perfect as long as we're enjoying our games, I guess. For me, I'm a physical media person, but I completely understand the convenience and the appeal of digital media. I would be a hypocrite to say don't buy any digital media because I own a lot of it myself. Obviously, the ideal situation for me would be to say that just go buy physical media, that's all you should get. But I'm not that type of person. I understand why digital media has such an appeal, especially with services like PlayStation Plus. Anyways, I am rambling on here, and I'll hope you will join me for another video coming next week, Friday. We are doing Friday videos every Friday for as long as we can. And I'd just like to say again, thank you for all the support that we've been having over the last few videos. I really do appreciate it. Please check out last week's video where we discussed building the ultimate PlayStation setup, which was a good episode. And yeah, I hope you will enjoy it and you'll join me for that series. Anyways, I hope you'll catch me in the next one. Cheers.